Hey everyone, been a long time since you've heard my voice on this channel, but I am here to do Kate Loves Disney's Disney Channel tag, and I'm just gonna warn you right now, as you guys probably know, I'm pretty biased towards Liv and Maddie, Hannah Montana, Girl Meets World, and Descendants, so you're probably gonna hear a lot of answers from those. I tried to have a bit of variety in my answers, but I can only do so much. So the first question is favorite Disney Channel show, and I couldn't pick just one for this. I had to say Hannah Montana and Liv and Maddie because both of those shows have impacted my life so deeply, but in very different ways, and it's just like I don't think I could ever choose between the two of them. It just feels wrong to put one ahead of the other, whichever one it may be. But yeah, you guys know I'm obsessed with both of those shows. I've been obsessed with Hannah Montana since I was 12, and Liv and Maddie I got pretty quickly obsessed with in the first season, and I just love those shows. Second question is favorite Disney Channel movie. Of course, the Descendants series, all three of them, but if I had to pick a favorite one of the three, it would be Descendants 2. I just think the first one was a great setup, and I think the second one took everything that was great about the first one and just amped it up so much. And there was so much hype for that movie, and it felt like it just delivered perfectly on that hype. Like, that was really the most satisfying sequel I think I've ever seen. And D3 was really great as well, but I feel like you could only have gone so much further from D2, which wasn't its fault. It was perfect for what it was. It was a great ending. The plot was great. Everything about it was great, but I think D2 was the best. And again, to no fault of D3. Favorite Disney Channel ship, question 3. I would probably have to go with Mosh, which is Maddie and Josh from Liv and Maddie. I used to be really into Miggy, Maddie and Diggy from Liv and Maddie, but then Dove and Ryan broke up and it just became awkward. But honestly, Josh is one of my favorite side characters on the show, so him and Maddie together are just adorable, and it's sad that they weren't Endgame. At the time, I wanted Miggy to be Endgame, so I was fine with it at the time. But I also do love that even after they broke up, they became really good friends, so love that. Question number 4. Favorite Disney Channel ship that never was. That goes to Riley and Maya from Girl Meets World. See, I'm not that into shipping. I never have been. I'm still not. Again, I like Mosh a lot, but I'm not like hardcore for them. But every once in a while there is an exception to that rule, and Rylaya was one of those for me. I went hard for Rylaya when that show was on. Like, I don't read fics very often, but I read fics to them. I wrote a fic for them. I edited videos for them that you may have seen. I was hardcore into Rylaya, and I still love them. I was just more into them when we were getting new content, of course, but I went hard for Rylaya, and that's probably my biggest OTP ever. So, number 5, favorite Disney Channel friendship. I also put Riley and Maya for this because canonically they're just friends, and if friends is all they are, I'm okay with that too. Their relationship is adorable to me, be it platonic or romantic. I loved their relationship. And I love them as individual characters too. I think that's one of the best when there's a relationship where you like each of the characters on their own, but you also like their bond. That's like perfect content right there. Question number 6 is favorite Disney Channel siblings. Of course, that goes to Liv and Maddie, which I almost put for number 5 as favorite friendship, but then I saw there was a siblings question. Because they're sisters by chance, friends by choice, as I'm sure you guys know if you've seen the show. But I just adore their relationship, and it sounds like one of my biased answers, right? But a lot of the reason why Liv and Maddie is such a favorite show of mine is because of the relationship between the twins, which I'm sure if you've seen my Liv and Maddie videos that I've edited has been pretty obvious to you guys, because a lot of what I edit is based on their relationship. Anyways, number 7, favorite Disney Channel animated series. So it's hard to answer this one because if you want to talk like Disney Afternoon, that's not technically Disney Channel because it was like syndicated and on other channels. And like when I name a show from the 90s, it just doesn't sound like Disney Channel to me. But I'm going to mention a Disney Afternoon show, but also like a newer Disney Channel show. So Disney Afternoon, as you may know, would be Darkwing Duck. That's my favorite animated series of all time and one of my all-time main fandoms. But if we're talking just newer Disney Channel, my favorite animated show would be Wander Over Yonder. That's another one of my all-time favorites. There's just like, it was so unique. Like a lot of shows, the animated shows these days are very similar to one another. Not to say that they're not really good, but there's something about Wander Over Yonder that just stood out. I grew up loving Craig McCracken's other shows. Like I had a brief obsession with the Powerpuff Girls, and Foster's Home is arguably my favorite non-Disney animated show of all time, not counting like dragons and shows based on movies. But I love Foster's growing up, and I still love it. And it was great to see what his work was like with Disney, which because he'd never collaborated with Disney before on a show, and just the animation is so fluid and fun, and the world is so fun, and it's really so innocent and just cute is the perfect word for it, both with the animation style and the stories. But that's not to say it doesn't have depth to it. Like, it's a very harmless, fluffy show a lot of the time, but it also had some really great storylines and messages, and I miss it, and I wish that it didn't get canceled after only 2 seasons, and I want it to come to Disney Plus. Alright, so number 8 is favorite Disney Channel show that is airing now. I've got a 3-way tie for this one, so bear with me. First of all, we've got Big City Greens. Currently, my icon on my YouTube channel is Phoenix, the dog from Big City Greens, so you may have noticed that I really like that show. It almost reminds me of Wander Over Yonder in some ways. It's just like a slice of life, very simple show, and like I love shows that have like really big story arcs and stuff, like animated shows nowadays, like Gravity Falls or Star vs. the Forces of Evil. Like, I think that's great and all, but I think it's kind of rare that you get a simpler slice of life show, and those can be just as good and sometimes even better. And I just love how this show, like, every episode focuses on some, like, really mundane tasks most of the time, like going to the shopping mall or going to the community center, but they're able to build an entire story out of that, which I think is so neat. And I love the characters, and I really love the world. I cosplayed as Tilly at D23 last year, and I went to the Big Sea Greens panel and got to meet the creators and stuff, and they really liked my costume, and yeah, I really like this show, and I think it's very underrated. Next would be Big Hero 6, the series. I think this is one of the, if not the best adaptations of a movie into a TV show. It really keeps the spirit of the TV show, but like expands on it in a perfect way. Like, I remember first seeing Big Hero 6 and thinking that that would be the perfect movie to make into a TV show, because it ended on such a note that was like, okay, there's so many more stories to tell about them now that they're superheroes, because the movie is more of an origin story. And you have a group of characters that each have very distinct personalities. So like, if we had a TV show, we could delve into each of their personalities and their relationships with one another. Like, you could have episodes focusing on like Honey and Go-Go, or Wasabi and Fred, or Fred and Go-Go. Like, there's so much mixing and matching you can do. And it's executed so well, and the new characters are really fun, the new villains. And like the story arcs, like there's usually an arc, a pretty big arc for each season. There's only been 2 seasons so far, but so far there has been. And there are great callbacks to the movie, but it's not like too heavily reliant on the movie. It's built really its own world of its own. And it's also very underrated. I don't hear many people talking about it, even though a lot of people know and love Big Hero 6. It's done by the same showrunners that did Kim Possible, and the quality shows, so I highly recommend it. And almost all the voice cast came back for it, and you also have some guest stars like Christy Carlson Romano and Will Friedle from Kim Possible. So, and number 3 is Ducktales. I mentioned Darkwing Duck, but if you know me, you probably know that I'm a big fan of the Disney Duckverse. So I was so excited when they announced a reboot of Ducktales, and really, like, we got the best possible result we could have asked for, in my opinion, and I know in the opinions of many others. And not only do we get new content from Scrooge and the Nephews and Donald and those guys, but like, we're building this Disney Afternoon universe with the Rescue Rangers and Goofy and Darkwing, and also featuring some Duckverse characters that weren't featured in the original DuckTales, like Feathery and Daisy, or even were, like Gladstone, but like still bringing them back. The amount of Easter eggs and callbacks for a big Disney, and specifically Disney Duck, and specifically Disney Afternoon fan like me, like, it's just the best, and I really love it. And I wouldn't call it underrated because it has a big fandom, but if you're not watching it, then you should. Alright, question number 9. Disney Channel show you wish had another season. So, gotta say Girl Meets World. If you were part of that fandom, or if you were like adjacent to that fandom when that show got canceled, you probably remember the uproar that it caused. And honestly, it's been 3 years. I feel like I still don't understand why it got canceled. It only got 3 seasons, but it had by far the biggest fandom I'd ever seen for a live action Disney Channel show. I hadn't really seen a fandom of any size for any live action Disney Channel show up to that point. And when I say fandom, I don't mean like going back to like Hannah Montana and like, you know, when we were kids and following it, but I mean like online fandom, talking about the show, constantly posting about it, making content for it. Like, it had such a huge following, which had its good parts and its bad, but that aside. And it didn't get a 4th season, which made no sense to me because kids loved it, teenagers loved it, again, being the fandom, and, you know, college age, that, you know, young adults. So it really blew my mind that it didn't get a 4th season, and honestly, I'm still bitter about it. And then, of course, we have Andy Mack, which had a very similar situation. Huge fandom. I know a lot of the Girl Meets World fandom, like, migrated to the Andy Mack fandom. And not to mention, like, Girl Meets World, like, I was really mad about, but I thought, like, maybe there's just something I don't understand from the business side of it. I moved on eventually. But Andy Mack, as like a second blow, I was like, okay, this just doesn't add up. Why did these 2 shows get 3 seasons, but shows that I've heard far fewer people talking about, like Bunked or something, have 4, now 5. Bunked got renewed for a 5th season. It just doesn't add up to me. And like, again, Andy Mack, I know had a huge fandom. I know kids loved it. And I know that it tackled so many important issues and broke so many barriers and included so many important topics that, like, other shows weren't willing to do. And I know people were loving it, so it just does not make sense to me why it didn't get a 4th season. So again, Girl Meets World, I was like, okay, like, I'll let it slide, but I've been through this twice now in very similar situations, and I don't get it. I was infuriated when I found out Annie Mac was not returning for a 4th season. So, yeah, I'm bitter. I'm sorry. Number 10, favorite international Disney Channel show. I have only watched 2 Disney Channel shows that were not from the United States, which were Legend of the Three Caballeros and 101 Dalmatian Street. And I like them about the same level, but if I had to pick, I would probably say 101 Dalmatian Street. I mentioned both just because, again, there's only 2 to choose from. Figured I'd mention the other one. Number 11, favorite Disney Channel theme song. I gotta say, I'm really proud of myself for not just going with theme song of, like, Liv and Maddie or Hannah Montana just because it's Liv and Maddie or Hannah Montana. I love Best of Both Worlds and better in stereo, but if we're talking song alone, like nostalgia or, you know, sentimental part of it aside, I gotta go with Keep It Undercover, the Casey Undercover theme song. That song slaps so hard. I remember just hearing the first little bit of it. I was obsessed with it. When they released the full thing, I was obsessed with it. It still slaps as hard 5 years later. So good. Number 12, favorite song from a Disney Channel movie. This is where the bias comes back. There are a lot of songs I love that are not just from, like, Descendants. And they will be mentioned, I believe, later in this Q&A. But I gotta go with a Descendant song. It has to be Ways to be Wicked. That was my Tumblr URL for a long time. Again, D2 is my favorite of the 3 movies. Just the intro was just all we could have wanted out of it. And when they first released the song, like, I remember listening to it absolutely nonstop. It is the most played song on my iTunes with like 300 plus plays. Yeah, I think it really just encapsulates the Descendants franchise so well, and it's so fun and so good. Number 13, favorite Disney Channel character. Bias again. I gotta go with Maddie Rooney. Maddie Rooney is probably my favorite fictional character of all time. I really see myself a lot in her, and I just think, like, I love both Liv and Maddie. Like, Liv is a close second. But there's just something about Maddie that I've always felt really drawn to, and I think there's something really interesting to me about Dove, who is a very feminine person with feminine features, portraying this, like, tomboy character. Like, the juxtaposition of it was always very interesting to me. And yeah, I just adore her. If you follow me on Tumblr, you've probably heard me ramble about her to no end. I'm sure I've done so to some extent on my YouTube channel as well. So yeah, love me some Maddie. 14, favorite Disney Channel actor and or actress. Of course, let's go to Miley Cyrus and Dove Cameron. I don't think I need to say anything more than that, because if you watch this channel, that probably comes as no surprise. Number 15, favorite Disney Channel kiss. I was a little stuck on this one, because again, I'm not super into shipping. I would say I have to mention Maddie and Diggy because again, when the show was airing, I was still really into them. But even when they first kissed, I was not super on board with it because I felt so bad for Josh in Choose a Rooney. So I think even if you asked me a couple years ago, I would not have said that. So I just went ahead and said Ben and Mal's first kiss in Descendants 2, just because I remember I was into that when it happened, and just the way she finally says "I love you" to him and breaks the spell. I think that would probably have to be my favorite. 16, favorite Disney Channel movie dance number. All right, I'm stepping out of Descendants with this one, and I'm gonna say "Gotta Be Me" from Teen Beach 2. The Teen Beach movies are pretty high on my favorite Decom list, and that song, that scene, like I remember hearing that song because that song came out before the movie did, and I was super hyped for Teen Beach 2. Didn't know if y'all knew this. Before I was super hyped for Descendants, I was super hyped for Teen Beach 2. It just kind of came out of nowhere, and I was super hyped for it and was super into it, and then Descendants came, and it just kind of went away. But I still love those movies, and that scene is so, so good. And it would have to be my favorite dance number. Number 17, favorite Disney Channel parents. So this is another one where it was a little hard to bias or not bias. But I'm going to say a biased answer and a non-biased answer. So I got to mention Pete and Karen Rooney from Liv and Maddie. Not just because they're from Liv and Maddie, but I genuinely love them as characters. They're just super funny, and I especially love Karen. Like, she is a valid Karen. One of the only ones there is. But I also got to hand it to Ellen Jennings and Bennett James from Dog with a Blog, just because they're so funny. They're some of the funniest characters on that show. There's just something about them that's just like super chaotic, especially Ellen. Like, man, that whole show was just on another level, but especially the parents. There was just something about them that was just hysterical to me. So, gotta give an honorable mention to them. Number 18 is favorite quote from a Disney Channel movie. I decided to go with a quote from Descendants 3 for this, which is, "We are all capable of good and bad, no matter which side of the barrier we come from," which I thought was very powerful, and I think can apply to both the movie and the world. And yeah, that whole scene, Mal's whole monologue in that scene is really great to me, but especially that line. Number 19, which Disney Channel school would you want to attend? I'm a little biased on this one again, but I put Ridgewood High, of course, just because I'd want to go to school with the Rooneys and, like, all their friends. And honestly, even outside of the characters, like, there's just so much going on at Ridgewood High. Like, the Cowbell Week and the Cheddar Brat Fest was at their school. I mean, it wasn't like a school-sponsored event, but it was at their school one year. It just seems like a fun school to go to. And I also mentioned Oregon Prep, partially because I'm biased towards Descendants. I'd want to go to school with Mal and the other VKs. But also, like, how cool would it be to go to a school with magic? I'm pretty sure Kate Loves Disney also put Oregon Prep for the same reason, because, like, there's magic and there's, like, royalty. Like, you're going to school with the descendants of Disney characters. Like, how cool is that? So, yeah. Number 20, favorite Disney Channel duet. I had to go with Space Between, because that is such a good song, and it's a gay anthem, and it's amazing. I ship me some Malibu too, throwing that out there. 21, Disney Channel character you would switch wardrobes with. I did not know what to put for this, and I don't have an answer for this, just because I am really boring when it comes to how I dress. I literally wear graphic t-shirts and leggings, the same kind of leggings. That is pretty much all I wear. I do not dress up. And I can't really think of a character that dresses like that, but, like, why would I want to steal a wardrobe that's the same as mine anyway? So yeah, I really don't think I could put anything for this. Like, I love, like, Mal's wardrobe, and I've cosplayed and Disney bounded as her, but I probably wouldn't dress up in her style constantly. No offense to her, it's just not my thing. 23, Disney Channel song that makes you want to dance. Once again, proud of myself. Stepped out of the bias for this one. I actually have an entire playlist called Decom Songs That Go Off, and if you'd like me to share with you this playlist, feel free to ask for it in the comments. But if I had to pick one song from that playlist, I would have to pick Determinate from Lemonade Mouth, particularly because when I hear it in public, which I have, like, one time I heard it at the soda fountain connected to the El Capitan Theater in Hollywood, and I started doing the, like, jump back and forth sliding dance during the chorus. Like, I can't help myself. Like, that is a big dance song. for me. 24. Which decom do you wish had a sequel? I just mentioned this movie, Lemonade Mouth. And I couldn't really give a biased answer towards this because Descendants has sequels. But I wish Lemonade Mouth had a sequel because I know it was supposed to get one at one point, and I know that the cast loves that movie so much. One time I met Blake Michael, and I told him I was a big fan of Lemonade Mouth, and I wished the sequel had happened, and he very defeatedly said that he did as well. So I wish they could get that. I did see someone say that part of the reason it didn't end up getting a sequel was because they felt like they had really completed the story, and there was nowhere they really needed to go. And I guess I understand that, like, you don't want to like ruin something that's good, but also I do feel like there was more story potentially to tell, like now that they were becoming big, like what struggles could they be facing that they're becoming a world famous band, and like is there gonna be anything going on between Charlie and Mo? Like, I'd like to know. And also, I know it was really popular, and usually when a decom is very popular, it gets a sequel. So it was just kind of weird for, because as far as I know, that's one of the most beloved decoms of the last decade or so, especially by like my generation. But by just Disney Channel watchers in general, I know. So it was just kind of surprising that it didn't get a sequel. But again, I kind of understand it. So 25, favorite Disney Channel recording artist. See, I can't say Dove for this because Dove has recorded songs for Disney Channel, but just like for Liv and Maddie and Descendants. So I only stutter on this because she's not a Disney Channel artist anymore, but I would say Miley Cyrus, of course, because she was a Disney Channel artist for a while with like Meet Miley Cyrus, Breakout, even Can't Be Tamed was under Hollywood Records, fun fact. But if that doesn't count, just because for some reason that feels like it doesn't count, I don't know, I would say Sabrina Carpenter. She's still with Hollywood Records, and I love her music. 26, last Disney Channel show and movie you watched. The last Disney Channel show I watched was Raven's Home, which I had on during dinner tonight. I feel like I have that on during dinner pretty much every night. My mom and I both love Raven and Raven's Home. So, and it's on a lot, so it's a lot of what I've been watching during quarantine. And the last Disney Channel movie I watched, I'm in a Disney Channel Discord that does movie nights every weekend, and last weekend we watched Holes, which is not a decom, but like we watch like movies that are like, you know, people will confuse for decoms or like have the same energy as decoms, you know. I'm trying to remember. It was Jump In. Okay, the week before we watched Holes, we watched Jump In, and that is a great movie. That's an underrated movie. I remember loving it when it first premiered, and I hadn't watched it in a long time, so we had a lot of fun watching that. I hesitated on this because I wrote my answers to this like a couple weeks ago, and I hadn't updated the last show and movie I watched, because that changes daily, multiple times a day sometimes, depending on what shows I'm watching. Usually not multiple movies. I'm rambling. 27. Name a Disney Channel character you ship yourself with. I mean, obviously Maddie Rooney. Like, we all know that I'm desperately in love with Dove Cameron. And, like, I always ask myself, like, would I want to date Liv or Maddie? And, like, I think I finally come to the conclusion that I would want to date Maddie and be best friends with Liv. I don't know. It just feels right for me. 28. Which decom have you seen at least 10 times? Of course, Descendants. I've probably seen movies like High School Musical and stuff 10 plus times, but, like, I don't think I've, like, sat down and watched them in full that many times. But Descendants, I can say in confidence, I have seen Descendants exactly 13 times in its entirety. And that's a lot for me. I don't sit down and rewatch that many movies that often, at least not anymore. So that's saying a lot. A lot of those have come from times that I have had friends that I wanted to show the movie to, and I'm like, sit down, we're watching Descendants. And it was always like one friend at a time, so I had to do it over and over again, and I had no problem with that. And then of course you have my buddy Janelle, who we met because we were both obsessed with Descendants in college, and we watched it together like 3 or 4 times because it's like our movie. All right, 29. If you could have any item from a show or decom, what would it be? I went with this random item that I discovered upon watching the season 3 finale of Liv and Maddie. It's never been mentioned. I've only noticed it myself. It is a bobblehead of Stephanie Einstein, Liv's character from Sing It Loud, from Liv and Maddie. Just because it's like, obviously, if I wanted an item, I would want it to be from Liv and Maddie, but ideally it would be like specifically related to one of the twins. And this is a bobblehead of Liv as Stephanie Einstein. So there you go. And finally, number 30, pitch a Disney Channel show or movie. I have thought for a while. I'm really bad at coming up with my own ideas, so I got to come up with like a spin-off. And I would have to say a Liv and Maddie spin-off, no surprise there. But hear me out. I'm not just saying that, like, if there wasn't one that would work, I probably wouldn't say that. But I feel like there's one that would work, because when season 4 introduced a lot of new, younger characters, I thought that was kind of what they were going towards, like possibly having a spinoff, being the characters at Booms that Joey and Parker went to school with. And I think I heard once that the creators wanted to, or they did pitch a spinoff about Booms to Disney Channel, and then it just didn't get picked up, which is kind of surprising to me. And if they did, Joey wouldn't be in it because he graduated, but like it could be Parker, Val, and Finch, and all those guys, and it could be fun. I mean, I would miss the twins, but maybe Dove could guest star. And if I could get any kind of Liv and Maddie content, even if it does not have Liv and Maddie in it, because listen to me, I love all the characters from that show so much, even the side characters. I love all of them. I would take it. So, that is all of the questions. So, I had a lot of fun doing this. I hope you guys had fun watching it. And if you would like to do your own, I suggest you do so. The questions, I'll put the questions in the description. And thank you for watching. Bye.